Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, let's talk about the Samsung Galaxy S26 series and why it could be a very important launch for Samsung's Exynos processors. For those who don't know, Samsung uses two different types of chips in their phones, Exynos in some countries and Snapdragon in others. This time, with the Galaxy S26 and S26 Plus, Samsung plans to use the new Exynos 2600 chip in some regions and the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 2 in others. They've done this before, but this time there's extra pressure on Exynos. Why? Because Samsung skipped using the Exynos 2500 in the Galaxy S25 series. That's because the chip wasn't ready. It had delays and problems. Now Samsung really wants to show the world that their Exynos chips are back and better than before. The Exynos 2600 is built using Samsung's new 2nm process, which they rushed to finish after getting their 3nm chips working properly in 2024. It wasn't an easy job. Samsung's chip-making business has faced several problems in the past few years. Some people even thought they might give up making chips altogether, but Samsung didn't quit. They kept working on new technology, and now the Exynos 2600 is here to prove they're still in the game. But here's the catch. The Galaxy S26 Ultra, which is the most expensive and powerful phone in the lineup, won't have the Exynos 2600 at all. No matter where you live, the Ultra model will only have the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 2, and that says a lot. If the Exynos 2600 was truly ready to match Snapdragon's performance, Samsung would use it in the Ultra too. The fact that they aren't shows that Samsung might not fully trust this new chip for their most important phone. Some reports even say that Samsung's new 2nm chips aren't performing as well as TSMC's older 3nm chips, especially when it comes to real-world speed and battery life. Now you might ask, do regular phone buyers care about this stuff? Probably not. Most people don't notice small differences in speed or battery life, but tech fans and phone reviewers do, and what they say can shape public opinion. If the Exynos 2600 still has issues like overheating or weak battery life, it could continue to hurt Exynos' image. Samsung has invested a lot of time and money to bring Exynos back. At one point, people were saying Samsung's chip-making business might shut down, but the company stayed focused, hoping to one day compete with Apple and TSMC. A good, strong Exynos chip is a big part of that plan. For Samsung to move forward, the Exynos 2600 can't just be okay. It needs to be great. It needs to fix the problems of older Exynos chips and start winning back people's trust. Samsung wants people to stop rolling their eyes when they hear the word Exynos and start seeing it as a real competitor to Snapdragon. But this won't happen through numbers on a paper spec sheet. It needs to show great performance, smooth, gaming, strong battery life, and work well everywhere. If both the Snapdragon and Exynos versions of the Galaxy S26 perform the same, Samsung could finally be starting a new chapter, one where they don't rely so heavily on Qualcomm. If it doesn't work out, it'll be a tough hit for Samsung. They won't stop making Exynos chips completely. Qualcomm chips are expensive, and Samsung still needs a backup plan. But people's trust in future investments in Exynos could take a big hit. At the end of the day, people don't want to pay the same high price for a phone that feels slightly worse, even if it's just by a little. The pressure is on Exynos to prove it belongs in a flagship phone again. The Galaxy S26 series will be the real test. If the Exynos 2600 does well, it could be the start of a comeback for Samsung's chip division. If not, it might prove that people's doubts about Exynos were right all along, and the stakes couldn't be higher.